Now, the next thing that I want to show you is working with something called a knockout group. Now, here's what a knockout group is. I'm going to zoom in on my exclamation points here. And let's say for whatever reason, I want these exclamation points to be a little bit transparent. So I'm going to highlight each of them here, just like I did with my robot heads. And I'll go up to my opacity slider on my control bar, and I'll set the opacity here. Maybe I want them to be about 75. And here's the problem with overlapping objects. You can see some of the underlying objects through the other objects, and that's not exactly what I want here. What I want to do is I want to set it up so that each of my exclamation points here has a uniform transparency applied to all of them so that I don't get this overlapping or underlapping effect, if you will. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo, first of all, Control Z or Command Z on the Mac, and then I'll go and grab my transparency palette, and there's a little option there for Knockout Group down towards the bottom right. I'll click it once, I get a little box. I'll click it twice, I get a little check mark. And you can see the little tooltip there, prevents elements of a group from showing through each other. So I have my knockout group turned on, and then I'll go and apply my opacity. This time I'll do it from my transparency palette. And hey, wait a minute, it didn't work. What is going on? How come I'm still seeing shapes underneath other shapes? Well, do you remember what that tooltip said? It said prevents the elements of a group from showing through. I didn't group these guys. So I'll crank my opacity back up, and what I'll do is with my 3 exclamation points selected here, I'll go and group them. Object, Group, or Control or Command G. Group them all there. Then I'll go and make sure that my knockout group is checked. Then I'll go and apply an opacity. There, that's what I wanted, this uniform transparency. See what I mean by uniform transparency? Doesn't that look nice? Let's do another example of that. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here, holding down my space bar. You can zoom out just a little bit. I should close my symbols palette here. I don't really need it anymore. And I want to do the same thing on my Phantom Bots text here, going right across my artwork. So I'll single click on my P. You can see they're all individual objects here. So I'm going to have to go and shift click all of them here all the way across. Phantom Bots. There we are. And don't forget, I have to group them. Control G or Command G on the Mac. And then in my transparency palette, make sure that Knockout Group is turned on, and then go and fiddle with your opacity. Now, the reason why this is coming out so dark is, I'll show you in just a moment here. I just wanted to get my opacity set there. I'm going to go about 85, I think. That looks pretty good. All right, I'll show you why this is getting darker as I drag my opacity slider down. I'll just undo that so we go back to where we were. Here's what I'm going to do. With my blue text highlighted here, and by the way, in my toolbox, I can see that there's a white to blue gradation on it. I'm actually going to hide this text. Try hitting Control 3 on the PC or Command 3 on the Mac. You can see that there's black text that was underneath my blue text. Now, that's okay for me because I like that darker effect, so I'm going to go and show my blue text again. Try holding down Control Alt 3 on the PC, Command Option 3 on the Mac, and there's my text back there. And that's why the text was getting darker there. So I thought I would just take a moment there and show you what that was all about. So there's my Phantom robots there. I can see a little bit of text underneath. And that's how the Knockout Group command works in Illustrator. Just make sure that you have everything grouped. That's the key word in Knockout Group.